Hello guys, welcome to Studyiq. I'm Safir. In this session, we are going to talk about a very important topic from economy, that is resource allocation. So guys, when I talk about resource allocation, basically what we are going to discuss is what to produce in an economy and in what quantity and who decides everything we will be covering in this particular session. This is going to be very important for you, not only for prelims, mains, and for your overall knowledge also. This is going to improve your knowledge and it is going to give you a very good perspective, right? So this is going to be very important for your interview also when you're going for the interview in future. So the topic is resource allocation. Guys, resource allocation means how things are produced and what quantity it has to be produced and who decide it is to be produced, what to be produced and everything. Okay, so resource allocation. So it's all about, just write if you want one line, what to produce and to what quantity to be produced in a particular economy. So we can discuss from both government side and also market mechanism as well, right? So government also will decide certain things, especially in a socialist economy, and even we are a mixed economy, so government have a huge role in that. And pre 1991 government had huge role, major role, and post 1991 it has been left to the market to some extent. But since 2005, mid of 2000s onwards, then government is having some good role which is coming. So there is again, not only market mechanism, government intervention is also there. So I'll be talking about both government side as well as the market mechanism, and I'm trying to bring both in the same frame so that it is going to be very easy for you to compare and understand. So market mechanism. Now guys, before 1991, like, you need to have this idea. Anyway, we are a mixed economy. So when it comes to mixed economy, both elements of capitalism and socialism will be there, right? But pre 1991, mostly there was a tilt towards socialism. So government intervention is much more government planning, right? So government through planning and everything. So it's a kind of regulated private sector activities through licensing, right? So those kinds of economic policies is what we have followed. And then post 1991, it is like mostly market mechanism. Things are left to the market, right? After LPG. So you need to have that broad idea. So post 1991, there is a tilt towards capitalism. That means you're leaving it slightly to the market, expecting a trickle down to happen. Now, whether it happened or not, we will have to discuss that. So pre 1991, mixed economy with a tilt towards socialism. Post 1991, mixed economy with a tilt towards capitalism. Now, why? Because we are expecting that the trickle down will happen. Market mechanism, market will do certain, the investments will come. So it will promote the growth. When the growth is there, trickle down. You throw something to top, it will come down automatically. So the growth will be there, automatically development will come and the well-being of people will be better. So this is what the expectation, like poverty will be reduced because of more employment opportunities. So inequality will come down, right? So this is what actually this Kuznets hypothesis also. Initially, there may be some increase in inequality. When you open up the economy, those who have, they will earn more, and then it will be, going down, right? Because government will get more taxes. Government can use the taxes in bringing welfare activities and social sector, schemes, and its schools and colleges and health and hospitals and all those things can be set up. So automatically these things will be benefiting rest of the others, and also employment opportunities will be there. So the others will also get benefit over a period of time. So guys, one thing that you need to understand is trickle down will take time. All the developed countries, if you see, their approach was also the same. Trickle down is what their approach, but it took time. But we didn't get much time, right? So what actually happened in our country after 1991 is we are expecting the trickle down. Obviously, it is going to take some time, but instead of labor intensive investment, we are expecting that employment opportunities will be created through labor intensive investments. But what has actually happened is they come up with capital intensive investment, and mostly in the service sector. So that led to jobless growth. Growth is there, jobless growth, and most of the instead of increase in employment opportunities, it actually reduced. So unemployment have increased, thereby poverty have increased, right? And inequality have increased. So this is actually against the expectation. So government have realized that you cannot leave everything to the market. Market won't cater to the social justice. Market will produce if there is a demand. I'll be coming to this topic again. So government intervention started again more from mid of 2005 onwards after UPA 1. And you can see MNREGA, Forest Rights Act, and Food Security Act, and all these things are coming. So this is a broad framework of what we are going to discuss, because I'll be talking about all these things in detail, and this is something which you should be knowing. Even if you don't know anything else, this is something which you should be knowing. I'm talking about overall economic setup. Okay, so let's start with this government. When I talk about this, guys, this is through economic planning, right? So planning, and like through subsidies, right? If you are giving subsidy to certain item, so what does that mean? Government is encouraging that item to be produced more, because you are giving subsidy, so it is an encouragement for the firm to produce more, right? So if the government want this to be produced, I told you resource allocation is all about what to produce and what quantity. So if you are giving subsidy, means government want this to be produced more, so the firm is getting the incentive to produce more, right? So the firm will produce it more, and what quantity, everything will be decided through this way. Again, so that is how you use subsidy. So subsidies will then taxes, right? So taxes means if you're increasing taxes, what does that mean? You want to discourage the production of that item. So guys, I want you to have a very good clarity about these things, why you're giving subsidy, why you're increasing taxes or decreasing taxes, and all those things need to be very clear. It is all connected with what? It is all connected with demand supply, it all connected with resource allocation, it all connected with what to be produced in the economy, and to what extent it has to be produced, what quantity it has to be produced, and all are deciding, this planning and these things. So when you're increasing the taxes, government is actually discouraging that particular item to be produced. Decreasing the taxes or giving subsidy, encouraging that item to be produced. So tax increase means it is basically, I'm not writing it here, you can make it your own notes, okay? I'm just writing taxes here. And then licensing. So the licensing policy was there, like it was very rigid pre 1991. Now it is very flexible, but licensing, making these processes very rigid means government is discouraging that area. Making it flexible means encouraging that, okay? And then fixing the quota, right? This is something which we will discuss when we discuss about WTO also, right? So fixing the quota means it is again encouragement and discouragement, right? So beyond a quota, you cannot, like that. And then minimum support price. When you're giving guarantee that unlimited quantity of this particular commodity will be procured by the government at this particular price, MSP is actually subsidy only. It is a food subsidy. When I talk about food subsidy, mainly I talk about MSP because this is a commitment that the government is taking. Government is making a promise before the sowing that unlimited quantity of this particular commodity will be purchased by the government. To what extent government will go for it, right? Because it is basically to protect the interest of consumer as well as the farmer. This I have explained in one of the previous sessions. Okay, guys. So MSP, giving MSP means what? If you want some items to be produced more, you have to give better MSP. So what will happen? The farmers will be incentivized to produce more because they get a guarantee even before the sowing. So there is no uncertainty. So when there is an uncertainty, that's when the farmers may reduce the production. So now there is no uncertainty. They're having a certainty about some price that they are going to get, because they definitely will get investment plus some kind of return, right? Etc. So these are the means of resource allocation. If you get a question, means of resource allocation, these are the means of resource allocation. Resource allocation means what to produce, what quantity to be produced will be. It's all about, right? So these, if I ask you what are the means of resource allocation from the government side, these are the different means of resource allocation. Now, the most important one is market mechanism. We will see how things are produced in the market. It all depends on what? It all depends on demand supply. When we discuss about market, everything will be based on demand supply. Okay, so here market mechanism is based on demand supply. So what is that? Like this, you can always draw the demand curve and the supply curve. So at this price, based on the demand and based on the supply, at this price, this quantity will be produced. So at, let's say, OP price, OQ quantity will be produced. Now look at the supply. If supply is more, what will happen? We will have to find a new equilibrium. So if supply is more, the price will automatically increase. Correct? If the demand is more, what will happen? The price is increased. So what has happened here is, you can see from OP to OP1, the price have increased. Now, when the price is increasing, the firm will understand that there is a need here in the market, there is demand in the market. So if you are capable of supplying more now, you will be able to get more price, and thereby your profit and profitability will increase. So firm will start supplying more. So what will happen? Now the new quantity will be shifted from OQ to OQ1. More supply will come. So at OP1 prices, OQ1 supply will come. You got my point. So it all depends on demand supply. If there is a demand, the price will increase automatically. Supply will also increase, because firm know there is profit, and the profit, there is a price increase, the profitability of the firm will increase. So in market, everything will be based on demand supply. Okay. So now here, guys, it all depends on people liking, right? Liking the choice of people. So if they like something, the demand will be more. So the demand will be more means the price will increase automatically. When the price increase automatically, the firm will get more profit. When the firm get more profit, they tend to produce more and more. Wherever you get profit, you do it more, right? So things are actually automatically decided in the market. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages? So let's look into that also. What I'll do is I'll not be writing here. I'll just tell you, you can write that. Resource allocation by market mechanism. What are the advantages? Just take down some points, guys, in case if you're getting a question in mains, you should be in a position to write. Optimal resource allocation, right? So why I'm saying optimal resource allocation is because resources are allocated on the basis of collective wishes of society. It all depends on the demand. So everything based on demand supply. So optimal resource allocation. On the other hand, if government is fixing, there may be something extra. You are giving a lot of subsidy. So what will happen is you keep on producing more because of the subsidy. And then what will happen? There will be wastage of resources. And then when you're increasing taxes, then what will happen? The production will be very less. That lead to shortage, and that may lead to black marketing and all other things. So here what will happen? Based on the demand, supply will be there. So that's one of the best advantage when it comes to market mechanism. It is proper utilization of resources, optimal utilization of resources. That is the first and the most important point. And it ensures efficiency of the firm. Okay, so optimal, guys, I'm not writing, I'll just discuss. So second, if you want, it increase the efficiency in productive activities, because markets operate under competitive condition, right? So the firm which will have better efficiency. Efficiency means the cost of production, one unit cost of production should be less. The firm who can produce, like there are two firms, A and B. Let's say both are producing this pen. A producing per piece at, let's say, 10 rupee, and B producing per piece at 12 rupee. Who is efficient? Cost of production per unit. So A is efficient, the cost of production is less. So what will happen is, even if this guy is selling at a profit of 2 rupee, it will be sold in the market at 12. Now, can this guy survive? No, this guy cannot survive, because even if he needs just 1 rupee profit, he have to sell it for 13 rupee. If you need 1 rupee, now anyone will buy it from him? No, because already you're getting it at 12 rupee, and that person is getting 2 rupee profit as well. So what will happen? The firm tend to improve efficiency, and that is very important. So this will automatically improve the efficiency, because the firms are working under the competitive environment. Okay, markets operate under competitive environment. So inefficient firm cannot survive. So efficiency will be improved. Just 1 minute, guys. Hello? Okay, guys, actually I got a call. So in between, we were talking about improvement of efficiency, right? So it's a competitive environment, competitive condition. So it's a situation of do or die for the company, right? So if they are not doing it good, they will not survive. So because of that reason itself, and the profit motive, that personal incentive is also there. So they always try to improve the efficiency. And from the consumer side, actually, the exploitation will be less, because there are a lot of choices. So what the companies are trying to do, the firms are trying to give you the best price because of the choices. That's when they also get the customers, right? So from the consumer side, if you see, the choices are available, and that will reduce the exploitation. So it is good for the consumers also. So these are the advantages. Again, if you look into advantage, economic activities, yeah, I've told you already, personal interest is there, personal incentive is there, that profit motive is there, so they will try to do good. So these are advantages which you can write. What are the disadvantage? Now, guys, disadvantages, you are leaving everything to the market. market will produce if there is demand. Now, what is the definition of demand? If you see, demand is the ability, willingness and ability to buy a product or certain things at a particular price. Willingness, I am willing to buy. Do I have ability to buy is also a question when it comes to demand. So I must be willing, at the same time I should have money, or I should have the purchasing power if my need to create demand in the market. That's when they'll only produce. I may need food, but I don't have money for that. I don't have the purchasing power. Nobody's going to produce for him. So the market will produce if there is a demand, if there is someone who's having purchasing power. But market won't cater to the needs if you don't have the money. So my hunger, nobody's there to help, or nobody is going to provide food. The beggar who is willing to have food, he wished to have food, he need food, but he don't have money, so he won't get anything. You got my point? So market won't solve the problems. Market cannot ensure social justice. Market will produce if there is demand. Market will produce anything you want, that is for sure, but at the same time you should have the money. You can get everything from the market if you have money. That is a situation, right? But it won't meet the social justice. So that is very important. So disadvantage, you just write that. It cannot ensure social justice, like reduction of poverty, unemployment, inequality, etc. Why? Because I told you already, they try to improve efficiency. In that context, they may cut down the employees also, their salaries also, the wages also. So that things may happen. So maybe unemployment situation will increase, right? So all these are disadvantages. Again, markets can fill the gap between demand and supply, but not the gap between need and supply. I've already explained this point. Demand supply mismatch, they can see whatever happens. Like you see, there is a demand. When the demand is there, price will increase. When the price increase, firms see this is an opportunity to make more profit. So they will supply. So they will, that shortage, if it is there, they will produce more. So the gap between demand and supply market will fill. But the gap between need and supply, as I've told you, I need food, but I don't have money. Nobody's going to produce that. You got my point? So that there is a difference between demand supply and need and supply. I need, but nobody is there to supply. I demand, then people are willing to supply. You got my difference. I hope you got the difference. I demand means my demand is because I have purchasing power. Need, I don't have purchasing power. Okay, so nobody is going to produce a supply or give the supply it. So that means market give luxury to those who have money. Market won't even give the basic necessity of the food to those who don't have the purchasing power. That is what, in single point, I've told you in the beginning, market won't satisfy or cater to the social justice part. Okay. So if you remember, I've told you just before that post 1991, we were expecting that the trickle down will happen and the employment opportunities will be created, but instead the employment opportunities have come down because market is always trying to improve efficiency. So instead of labor intensive investment, you can see capital intensive investment has come. That is the reason why it has actually happened. Okay, so guys, in between I lost that flow because I got the call and it went around till 5 minutes, but I hope I'm trying to manage it. Okay, you can write one more point. Markets cater only to short-term needs of well-off section and relatively developed areas. Okay, next point. Markets cannot resolve macroeconomic problems of economy like long-term growth, conservation of environment, means sustainable development, price stability, poverty alleviation, employment opportunities, inequality, etc. Okay, so it cannot ensure well-being of people. It cannot ensure development. It cannot ensure sustainable development. It cannot ensure employment opportunities. It will always try to improve efficiency. It will always try to bring the gap between, or that mismatch between, bring down the mismatch between demand and supply. The question is between the need and supply. Who's going to solve it? It is the government have to intervene. Okay, especially in the developing countries. Okay. And then markets fail to allocate resources optimally in the presence of externalities. Now I'll explain what is externalities. Externalities means impact of one economic activity on other activity. Or if you want, I'll just show you externality. There are positive externalities and there are negative externalities. So in case of externalities, market may not be able to allocate resource properly. So for example, positive, if I talk about positive infrastructure, see guys, if I have roads, it's not only for transportation, it is useful for all other economic activities. Just take it like that. And then if I'm building schools, it's not only for education, a lot of other benefits also, like that is bringing a child to a different level, the culture, and there are a lot of things, the character and everything is actually made in school, right? So many other externalities, other influences there with school, not only education. Now, negative, if you take, let's talk about pollution. For example, let's talk about this pen manufacturing company or any manufacturing company. So what the firm will do is, okay, let's say this is a demand curve and this is a supply curve, right? So if government interfere, now let's say there is because of huge supply there is pollution. So if government interfere means, if this is the issue, to solve this issue, government can discourage the production. How the government can discourage? Either they can take it off the subsidy or they can charge more taxes like that. In that case, what will happen? The supply will come down. So supply will come down means, so this is the equilibrium now. So P to P1, right? So what will happen is the cost of production will increase, right? So when the government increase the taxes, the cost of production will increase. So supply will come down. So I can show you like this. Supply come down means leftward shift will be there. Leftward shift. So the supply will come down. And then what will happen? The price will increase, right? So this situation, this supply will come down. So here you can see the price have increased here. And this situation, S1, is actually good because the production has come down. So that is why government interfering in this situation. Now here, on the other hand, let's say if you see this side, education, the government is trying to encourage it. Let's say this is the demand and this is the supply. The cost of education, right? Let's take, this is the P, this is Q. So this is the cost of education. Now, what will happen is government, is providing some infrastructure, right? Free land, free electricity, some infrastructure facilities. Then what will happen? Supply will increase, grants and aid, so that more schools will come. That means the supply will increase. When the supply will increase, what is the advantage? The advantage is the price will actually come down. So price of education will come down so that more and more will get the education. So here, this is considered good, right? So I hope this is very clear for all of you. Now, the next point you can write is markets operates optimally only under competitive condition, which seldom exist without government intervention. You need proper regulators, right? Otherwise, monopoly will be created and unnecessary competition will be there. Now, because of this IRDA, TRI, RBI, SEBI, because of their influence, it may work properly. Okay, that is one thing. But anyway, markets are supposed to do better. Problems can be solved with the government intervention. So what is going to be your final conclusion? Leave it to market, but at the same time, regulate it properly, or government intervention is required, but don't leave completely everything to the market, because market cannot ensure social justice. So guys, this is where we actually started. Post independence till 1991, mixed economy with a tilt towards socialism, government intervention was so high, market have less to do. Post 1991, it is completely left to the market, but we have failed miserably. Poverty have increased, inequality increased, unemployment situation have increased. So what we have realized is market cannot understand the problem of society, or market won't take care of development or well-being or social justice, or market cannot meet the mismatch between need and supply. It will only take care of demand and supply mismatch. So with government intervention, market will tend to do good. So what we have done is post 2005, mid of 2005 and mid of 2000s onwards, government intervention started increasing. So government also started doing certain things like MGNREGA, Food Security Act, etc. So this is a current situation. I hope this is very, very clear to all of you. So government interfere or government will intervene where market fail. Okay. So with this, I hope things are done. So before reform, it was fully with the government control. Post reform, market. Mid of 2005 onwards, both market and government together. So where market is failing, the government will take care of it. And that is the best approach. So this is what all about resource allocation. I got you got a very good perspective about this. Okay, guys. So we'll stop the session. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up and comment below if you have any questions, and consider subscribing to the channel also. See you in the next session. Thank you, guys.